And welcome back to the Final Fantasy XIV Crafter's Guide. This is Chapter 5, the final chapter of the series. This chapter we're going to get into the specifics of endgame in regarding red scripts and the red script tables. We're going to look at the trade tables. We're going to look at the materials involved in the starred crafts of level 60 from the Master 3 books. We're going to look at specialization. We're going to look at the specialist abilities in depth and detail. We're going to go over some of what they do, and we're going to do a little bit of a explanation with some of the newer combos and the way that specialist abilities can really give you the freedom to kind of craft on the fly with what you need based on what RNG does. So let's get into it here. We're going to start off Chapter 5 with a little bit of a side note. I want to talk about the EXP scrolls, these engineering manuals that you can get for blue scripts, and to a weaker extent what you can get from Grand Company seals. These are something that you should be spending blue scripts and Grand Company seals on to help supersize those jobs that are lagging behind. Now, before we get into the end game and red scripts and all that good stuff, I want to go over one last cross-class ability that you got at level 50. Manipulation comes from Goldsmith, and the idea behind manipulation is it does what Master's Mend 1 does for slightly less CP and proactively. Much like Comfort Zone, it gives you back those 30 durability over 3 turns. The only real rule you have to remember when it comes to Master Mend is you can't do any action on the craft that would reduce durability if you only have 10 durability left, because it gives you back 10 durability after it removes 10 durability. So if you have 10 durability left, that manipulation isn't going to save it. The craft is going to break. Now let's get into red scripts. Red scripts work mechanically the same way blue scripts do. You go to your timers list or go to the NPC, the collectibles appraiser, and they'll have the list for the day that resets in the afternoon Eastern Time, AM in Japan. Red scripts are considered current content currency, and so they do have a weekly cap. But unlike the other battle currency, the other tomes that you can cap every week, red scripts reset on Thursdays, not on Tuesdays. The cap currently is 450, and with those 450 scripts, you can trade for either the tokens, the red script tokens, which are used then to trade for all kinds of different items, whether you want to get a finished piece of I-180 crafting gear or a tool. You can also trade them in conjunction with red script gathering to get the materials to make for a chance to make the high quality versions of that gear with materia slots that you can then meld and overmeld into. You'll notice that the price for the red script tokens is much higher to get a piece of completed NQ unmeldable gear than it is to get the items that are used as materials to make that same gear and try to get an HQ. You get to trade off the RNG of trying to have to make these items in HQ to spend more of your time in the red scripts, getting them pretty much with the cap stats that they would have had. If you really want to get into hardcore endgame crafting and rule the market board currently, then getting these materials to make them in an HQ version to then overmeld is going to give you a significant advantage in your crafting of future items that use these materials. So if that's what you're intending to do, is to try to rule the market board early on some of this stuff that you can make with these materials, then you're going to want to get into red script gathering. The gathering of red scripts involves going out and using special abilities that you've been learning between 50 and 60 on your gathering jobs. Now the currency follows the same rule as crafting currency. Blue scripts are uncapped, red scripts have a weekly cap. And you use the red gathering scripts to get special scrolls that you then use to give you a special buff in a very specific area. While you're under the influence of this buff, all you do is you run around and you gather for the 15 minutes of that buff until a special node, an area that you click and open, pops. And then you have a chance of getting some of these items that Rowena's NPCs want in trade for the special crafting materials. I know it sounds pretty complicated, and let me tell you, from personal experience, it's really time intensive. The amount of time that it takes to gather the amount of blue scripts that you need in order to get even one of the special books so that you then have access to only one area and one item that can hopefully pop on the RNG tables to get you a red script chance that caps at 450, so that you can then trade all of your red scripts for a handful of tokens to use on some items to get 15 minutes worth of the time to go and gather some other item that may or may not even appear, and then do it 10 times over, so that you have a chance to get only one chance to make a raw material, of which you need between 2 and 4 to even get a chance to make an HQ item. Just isn't worth it. In my estimation, the way the system is set up right now, you wouldn't be doing anything else in the game but this. Now you could say, well, Soric, I've got tons of money. I'm going to go and just buy all these materials on the market board. Go for it. That's what I do. Usually you can get a lot of these materials for pretty cheap. You'll find stuff like wattle bark and griffin skins and all kinds of other things in HQ form for pretty cheap on the market board, because the demand is so low, since the system, the way it's set up now, is so time intensive. Most people just aren't doing it. You'll find the market board is pretty empty when it comes to these final items that you can make from these Mastercraft 3 books. And if you really want to corner the market and make a lot of gil very quickly per sale, getting into this and really focusing on this aspect of the game and really not doing anything else is how you're going to get there. Now, getting into specialization. Specialization is really most useful for trying to make some of these Mastercraft 3 recipes, these starred 3.0 recipes and 3.05 recipes. The specialist abilities come in all kinds of different flavors, but they all really revolve around this one ability, which is Whistle While You Work. Whistle While You Work is a special buff that counts down from 11 stacks only when you get a good or an excellent quality, which means that once you get a good or an excellent quality, no matter what you do with it, whether you touch it with Tricks of the Trade, take it with Precise Touch, or completely ignore it and put up a buff, it's going to lose a stack of Whistle. Most other specialist abilities that are worth using are tied into that Whistle stack count in some way. Now, for the 5 of you out there that wish they could see the calculator job from Final Fantasy Tactics come into Final Fantasy XIV, here it is. This type of a numerical system that relies on not only the number of this stack, but sometimes it's multiple to 3, or when it is an even number with another buff, this is really what you were looking for, so congratulations, you got your calculator. Specialization and specialist abilities can be unlocked at level 55 by doing some quests that start in Mordona by the script NPCs. Once you get done with that quest, you're going to be able to get up to 3 what are job crystals, essentially. They go in the job crystal slot, and what they do is when you have those job crystal tablets equipped, it unlocks the specialist abilities. At level 55 you start with Whistle. You also get Satisfaction, which is an ability that restores 15 CP whenever your Whistle stack is a multiple of 3. Now, every level after 55, your specialists will gain a new ability. The first one at 56 is Innovative Touch. Innovative Touch is literally a mash between Hasty Touch and Innovation. It does exactly what those two moves do, but in one turn. Sounds good, except the success rate is lower than Hasty Touch, and even with Steady Hand 2, you'll find this move failing a lot. I usually don't use it because Hasty Touch, the big benefit is that it costs 0 CP, and that's usually what I'm looking for. Building those inner quiet stacks, I really don't care about innovation at the time. The next move you get is Nymea's Wheel. You get this at level 57, and this is one of the really cool abilities that specialists get. For a very low CP cost, you get basically a Master's Mend. A little bit more sometimes. It depends on the stack of Whistle, which is why you should always take Satisfaction when it procs. If you can get your Whistle stance down to 1 or 2 stacks, and then you pop this ability, you're going to gain back 3 or 4 durability turns, 30 or 40 durability, and your Whistle will go away. Usually in most crafts, when you're taking advantage of Whistle and the way that specialist abilities work, you don't want your Whistle stack to reach 0, or else it'll cause a huge increase in progress. And if you've been bumping your progress up and juggling your good and excellent qualities with Precise Touch, Hasty Touch, and Careful Synthesis, saving that CP for a Byragot's finisher, then the last thing you need is for Whistle to wear off and finish the craft for you prematurely. The next specialist ability you gain at level 58 is Byragot's Miracle, but unlike the name, it's not really a miracle. Compared to Byragot's Blessing, the CP cost is not really that much less, and for what it does, on paper, seems like you could build some pretty cool combos around it. But when you try to use it in actual crafting, it never really works out the way that you planned it on paper. Beauregard's Miracle takes half of your inner quiet stacks instead of all of them, and increases control with a touch for 10% for each stack it took instead of 20%. It sounds alright, especially since it's a 100% success rate with Steady Hand 2. The problem is, the way I look at it is, if I've got 10 stacks and you're going to take 5 at 10%, I'd rather you take those 5 at 20%. You know what? Take the other 5 at 20% too. Beauregard's Blessing for the win. Now, Trained Hand is a specialist action you get at level 59, and you really only get to use it once in your entire craft, and that's only when your inner quiet and whistle stacks are identical, when they're the same number. It has a higher than normal CP cost, but it has 150% efficiency and increases both progress and quality for 10 durability. It's like getting Waste Not for only 2 turns and using Advanced Touch and Advanced Synthesis for those 2 turns. So it works out pretty good because the cost of Advanced Touch and Advanced Synthesis are way more than 32. You definitely want to save some of your progress bar to use this ability in the middle of the craft when your inner quiet and whistle stacks are identical, then make up the difference with your careful synthesis while you're juggling the good and excellent quality and building those stacks for Beauregard's Blessing. And the last specialist action you get at level 60 are the Heart Actions. These actions are actually kind of cool because they're the first ones in the game that uses a reagent or an item out of your inventory bag in order to use the ability. The items you purchase with blue crafting scripts, they come in bulks of 10. Once you have some delineations in your inventory, using the ability will consume one. And for the next 7 steps that the buffs is up, it'll increase the chance that your material condition goes to good. My experience with this ability is that it's definitely a big increase. When I've got one of the heart abilities up on one of my specialist jobs, I get a good condition material at least once every 3 turns, and it really burns through my whistle stacks, but you get to proc a lot of the other abilities that are based on the multiples with that whistle. Now, using specialist synthesis abilities is very much ad lib. We're going to show you a little bit using a Griffin Leather synth. The Griffin Leather is one of the endgame materials from Red Scripts. We're going to talk about real quick one of the new cross-class abilities called Muscle Memory. It came from Culinarian. It's really nice. You can only proc it the very first turn, and it gives you a big bump in progress, a third of the total needed to be able to do what you're doing here. The nice thing about it is very little CP. And so we're going to do our whistle. You see you get your 11 stacks. We got the good quality, so we're going to take Tricks of the Trade to get back some of the CP pool that we dumped into whistle. That's going to drop our whistle stack down to 10. We're going to do a little bit of a different variation on the Griffin Leather synth here. We're going to do a variation of the Beauregard's finisher that uses Rapid Synthesis, which came from Armorer. Rapid Synthesis is something that increases the progress by a whopping 250% efficiency, but it has a low success rate, and we'll see if RNG is nice to us here. So we're going to put up Comfort Zone and start getting those CP ticks rolling, and Steady Hand 2, obviously, because Rapid Synthesis is a low efficiency rate, so we want to get the best chance that we can on success. We're going to use Rapid Synthesis because it costs 0 CP, but it's a much higher efficiency than what we get from Careful Synthesis. We get another good quality, and that procs that times 3, that 9 stacks of whistle, so we're going to take Satisfaction, get some more CP back, and keep moving forward on our progress. And what we want to try to do, ideally, is get down to the point where we've got more than 340 CP, and then go from Masterman 2 to refill that durability, and try to build that inner quiet stack. So as we're taking Tricks of the Trade and keeping our CP pool full, we'll use Satisfaction again at the 6th stack, and now you see we're in a pretty good shape. We've got almost done with the progress bar completely. We've still got 2 turns left before we need to use Masterman 2, so we're going to keep moving forward with keeping our Comfort Zone up and putting up Rapid Synthesis again and seeing where we end up. Now, this is going to put us at 1313, which is a 210 boost from where we were with Rapid Synth. Another Rapid Synth will finish the job, but because of Rapid Synthesis's unreliability, we don't want to count on it as a finisher to finish the synth. So what we want to do is, this is something that you'll find yourself doing often when you're making very high quality items. So you're going to go and you're going to look at the difference of efficiency between things, and you're going to do a little bit of freehand math and see how many of these careful syntheses at 100% am I going to need to be able to finish this. And I figure out that it's going to be 2. So I don't want to be able to have to think that I need to save that extra durability later on. I'm going to go ahead and use that careful synthesis now. That way I know I have only one more careful synthesis to go to finish it, Master's Men, and then start worrying about my inner quiet stacks. Another really great variation of this combo that you could do is to juggle rapid synthesis with hasty touch and take any precise touches that proc to lower the whistle stacks and raise your innovation stacks, hopefully getting the two to match and then proccing that real power combo to save yourself some turns and getting a good bump in quality. And with the end of Chapter 5 here, that does it for the Final Fantasy XIV Complete Crafter's Guide series. We hope you found the series very helpful, and we'll be releasing new content on the subject as Square Enix releases new content in the game. You can look forward to more complete guides and tutorials for all aspects of Final Fantasy XIV coming out on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe for notifications on any new videos that come out, and thanks for watching.